Good evening, members, officers and ladies and gentlemen of the public, and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Planning Applications Committee. I'll just go through a little bit of housekeeping first. So first item is the evacuation procedure. Okay, a fire drill is not expected, so if the alarm sounds, please evacuate the building quickly and calmly. Please use the stairs and do not use the lifts. Once out of the building, please gather outside the Virgin Money Building, formerly the Yorkshire Bank, on the opposite side of the road. Exit by the door by which you entered the room or by the fire exits, which are clearly located by the standard green fire exit signs. If you need any assistance in evacuating the building, please make yourself known to a member of staff. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded for future publication on the council's website. Please can I ask that you turn off your mobile phones or set them to silent during the course of this meeting, please. Okay, item number 2, apologies. Okay, I have several apologies tonight. I have apologies from Councillor Wilson, who's been substituted by Councillor Walsh. Not Councillor Walsh, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Walsh, for substituting. And also, I have apologies from Councillor Hammersley and also from Councillor Shepherd as well. Okay. Item number 3, the minutes from the last meeting on the 12th of October 2021. Hopefully you've all had the chance to go through this. Could I have somebody who's happy to declare that these minutes are an accurate record? Thank you, Councillor Smith, the seconder. Thank you, Councillor Markham. Okay, could I have a show of hands, all those in favour to carry it? Okay, thank you. I shall sign those minutes off now then. Okay, item number 4, declarations of interest. Are there any members who have any interest not already on the schedule that they'd like to declare? No? Okay, are there any declarations of contact? Okay, Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item 1, I have visited the next door neighbour to this site a couple of times to discuss the application. I haven't given any indication of voting intention though. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Smith. That's noted. Are there any other councillors? No? Okay, so that moves us on then to the planning application consultation. So for members of the public, just to let you know, in the meeting, those of you who wish to speak, this will be either in person or through a submitted written statement, which can be read by the legal officer. You will be invited to speak and you'll have a maximum of 3 minutes in which to state your case. Once in open session, we will deal with those items on the agenda first, where we've received a statement from a member of the public. Okay, so we will endeavour to get that done that way. Voting, we will show by hand, a consensus of hands, unless a recorded vote is requested, whereby the chair will request the legal officer to read out the names of committee members. When you hear your name called out, please respond with for, against or abstain. After vote is taken, the legal officer will then announce the results of the vote. Okay, so I'll ask Jasmine now to start with item number 1 on the agenda. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This application is for the demolition of an existing conservatory and erection of a single-storey side extension, as well as the change of use from a single dwelling to 3 one-bedroom flats with separate entrances and additional outdoor communal area. The dwelling was historically an off-licence with residential accommodation to the rear. As a result, there are 2 existing entrances to the property which are accessed off Holly Stitches Road. As part of the proposal, a new drop curb is also proposed off Holly Stitches Road for access to the additional car parking area to the south of the site. The key issues to consider as part of this proposal are, firstly, the principle of the development, the impact on residential amenity, the impact on visual amenity, and finally the impact on highway safety. Firstly, the principle of development. There are 2 points to consider here. Firstly, the single-storey extension, and secondly, the increase from a single dwelling to 3 flats. The single-storey extension will replace an existing flat-roof conservatory to the same depth, but with a pitched roof. The change from a single dwelling to 3 one-bedroom flats would also help to assist in meeting the borough's housing needs. The site is considered to be within a sustainable location, which is mostly residential in nature, and so the principle of development is considered to be acceptable. The impact on residential amenity. Amended plans have been submitted following officer comments in order to reduce the size of the proposed extension. Based on these amendments, which are broadly in line with the adopted Sustainable Design and Construction SPD, it is not considered that the single-storey extension will have a detrimental impact upon neighbour amenity. Secondly, given the historic use of the site as an off-licensing dwelling, it is not considered that the change to 3 separate flats with a total of 3 bedrooms would be harmful to neighbour amenity. Finally, NBBC Environmental Health do not object against the application. Therefore, on balance, it is not considered there will be any detrimental harm to neighbour amenity. Impact on visual amenity. Through the submission of amended plans, the size and scale of the proposed extension has been significantly reduced, which in turn reduces the harm to the street scene. The proposed single-storey extension will have some views from Holly Stitches Road. However, the size and scale of the extension is relatively small. It is not considered that proposal will have any detrimental harm to visual amenity. Impact on highway safety. Warwickshire County Council Highways were consulted on the proposal and offer no objection to the scheme, subject to conditions. So, to conclude, on balance, the development is considered to be acceptable, subject to conditions, and these are set out within the report and the addendum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jasmine. I have several speakers on this issue, so I'm going to start with Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chair. I strongly oppose this application. I'll start with neighbours' concerns. Parking and access, overdevelopment, impact on visual amenity, loss of light, loss of privacy. If committee do endorse this application, I would ask for some other considerations. Soundproofing on the whole length of the property, security lights at the back and back gates to be retained as there are drug problems in the area. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cooper. I now have an objector, which is Mrs. Marion Wilson. Sorry.
Sections are overdevelopment. Sections. Hang on, we're not working.
Thank you, Jack. Am I allowed to come back on to what Councillor Cooper has said as a point of clarification?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. It's fine. Yes, thank you. Councillor Cooper, thank you for your statement. You mentioned soundproofing as a potential condition. Would you just be able to elaborate on whereabouts on the application? And if you just expand further on that, I'd be grateful.
Mainly on the dividing wall between the opposed properties. There's apparently a lot of noise that goes on from next door. Okay.
Tell it third party and the rest.
Yeah. Well,
Third party walls and the 30 foot that would extend immediately past the back of my home.
okay.
Okay, do any other members have any points of clarification they would like from Councillor Cooper? No. So we'll go move to Mrs. Wilson then. Okay, so Mrs. Wilson will be doing it by recording as her preferred method. So if we wouldn't mind sort of just indulging this, please. Thank you.
Overdevelopment of site, the property and where situated not suitable for flats, existing two-storey back wall of 384 which extends past back of my house by 20 foot, and then a single-storey glass conservatory extension taken down of just under 10 foot. The existing back wall adversely impacts my property. To replace glass conservatory with a brick rendered extension would have a more detrimental impact. Photos, I believe, have been circulated showing existing wall, glass conservatory and without conservatory impact my visual amenities. Any brick rendered extension at the back of my home would have a big detrimental impact, as my view from the back living room would be one of looking at a long brick wall. A brick extension would further restrict my view and light even more. Also, the proposed height of pitch roof, I believe, exceeds the height of the glass conservatory which came to my boundary fence. If higher, I oppose that as well. Light. Daylight very restricted at back due to existing house wall of 384. A single extension of brick cement, not glass conservatory, would impact on my light and view even more. My garden on the left-hand side is already in shade most of the day, and a brick extension would render my living room dark and depressive. Lack of privacy would be overlooked at back of my home into my back garden. Noise from the proposed communal area, bottom of garden, and parking 2 cars right up to my back garden boundary fence. Noise from landlines, mobiles, music devices, TVs, pots and pans, washing machines, roofs of 3 flats, including upstairs when I'm trying to sleep. Smells permeating my home from 3 flats. Car parking. Highways found original plan for 3rd parking space unsuitable. Revised plans do not address the issue and will not resolve parking adjacent to 384 Holly Stitches Road. It is not acceptable to have an open car park up to my back garden boundary fence being subject to noise, lights and car emissions permeating my home and back garden. Safety security. Issue at back of my property as boundary fence of 384 to be removed and left open access for 2 cars and communal area would render my property vulnerable, giving direct access from the street onto my boundary fence, garden and back of my home. Not suitable for open area access off street, as there is already a drug problem in the area and children hanging around making a public nuisance. Safety concern. Rear cooker upstairs in close proximity to party wall, as 384 has outside wall insulation which in the event of a fire could prove disastrous due to highly flammable potential, devalue my property. I strongly object to this application, and I would kindly ask for the planning committee to decline it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Wilson. Can I ask, are there any councillors or any members, sorry, that would like any points of clarification from Mrs. Wilson, anything that she said?
Yes.
Sorry, Councillor Cooper, you're not a member of this committee,
oh,
so
okay.
it is sorry for members of the committee as opposed to members of the the public, which is what your class is for this meeting. Councillor Condecourt.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just had one question. I understand you're concerned about the access at the back being opened up for where the 2 rear car parks are. Can you explain what your boundary fence is between your house and that parking area? Because that might help us understand what the issue is. Thank you.
My house faces up Tuttle Hill. Their house, 384, Tuttle Hill really isn't Tuttle Hill, it's in Holly Stitches Road. There is an existing boundary fence for that property, which is parallel with Holly Stitches Road, which is about 2 metres in height. That's to be, according to the plans, removed in order for the 2 vehicles to park into that area, which would be part of their back garden or side garden. Immediately then, I have a 6-foot wooden fence as a boundary fence. So cars coming in off the street would be pulling in directly up to my back garden boundary fence that side. Does that clarify that for you? Thank you.
Okay, are there any other points of clarification anybody would like? Okay, so what we have in front of us then is we have a recommendation. Oh, sorry, my apologies. We have one more speaker who's not here in front of us tonight. So we have the applicant himself, Mr. Ashok Bacta, and his statement will be read by Wendy, our legal officer.
The proposal is to convert a large house into 3 one-bedroom apartments, which would otherwise be inhabited by one person only. The brief outlined for the project by Mr. and Miss Bacta was to convert the home of their elderly mother, the size and layout of which was no longer suitable for her. The conversion would allow her to continue to live in her lifelong home whilst providing an income to continue to support her. The proposal therefore offers to provide 3 dwellings. At least one of these dwellings will be adapted for disabled access. The remaining dwellings will provide affordable rent accommodation. These 3 dwellings will provide much needed affordable rent accommodation to the Tuttle Hill area. In terms of housing need, as per the Nuneaton and Bedworth Council Borough Plan's latest review, there is need of approximately 703 new dwellings per annum till the year 2031 to meet housing needs. This document also outlines the need for affordable housing, either for rent or sale. The Council's Borough Plan requires that any individual development exceeding 15 units to apportion 25% as affordable housing, and of that, a minimum of 74% to be provided as affordable or social rent. This demonstrates a huge need for housing on affordable rent. Additionally, it states that one-bedroom apartments form 45% of the type of housing need, compared to 2, 3, 4 or more bedroom houses. All 3 of these proposed one-bedroom dwellings are to be offered as affordable rent, therefore will contribute to fulfil this very acute housing need of the community. In terms of parking and safety considerations, the proposal has considered the highways and safety implications. It has proposed 4 off-street parking spaces with 2.4 metre pedestrian visibility splays. There is sufficient visibility from the driveways for oncoming traffic. These measures will ensure the proposal is not to the detriment of pedestrians or other road users. The proposal has considered the implications to neighbours and has limited the extension of the property to the perimeter of the existing conservatory. This ensures that there is minimal change in external appearance of the property. Additionally, the proposed materials of the extension have been specified to match existing, thereby making the proposal completely sympathetic to the existing architecture. Windows have been maintained as existing on the property, and the extension windows have been proposed to ensure privacy is maintained for the neighbours, as currently exists. The proposal is proposed to be built by competent tradesmen to comply with all fire, noise and energy efficiency requirements, ensuring there is minimal impact of the proposal to neighbours and surrounding area. Okay, Chair. Furthermore, we believe the refurbishment of this building with modern soundproofing materials will in fact improve the noise insulation and reduce the transmission of noise. It will also improve thermal efficiency and heat loss. In conclusion, we feel the proposal should be allowed to go ahead, as full consideration has been taken to ensure there is no negative impact on neighbours. It has been designed to be safe for pedestrians and traffic, whilst having almost no change to the existing architecture of the surrounding area. Furthermore, it contributes towards current housing needs and supports the aims of Nuneaton and Bedworth Council's Borough Plan. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for reading that out for us, Wendy. So we have a recommendation in front of us to grant this planning permission. So for purposes of allowing us to move to a debate or a discussion, do I have someone to propose this? Okay, so I shall propose then. Do I have a seconder? Okay, thank you, Councillor Rudkin. So does any councillor wish to speak on this matter? Councillor Walsh.
Can I just have a slight bit of clarification? Looking at the plans, it would appear that the 2 houses mentioned, yours and the house that's for the extension, are semi-detached. The difference being your house facing Tuttle Hill.
Yes, and we need to right.
Just so if we can. Yes.
So these questions really should be coming towards the officer. We had
Okay.
an opportunity for clarification earlier on in the meeting, so
Okay,
if there are
sorry.
questions, could you direct them to the officers, please?
Sorry, Chair.
So that's okay.
Okay, am I right in saying they are semi-detached houses? The lady's house there is facing Tuttle Hill. The house in question for redevelopment is at right angles, effectively. Their front is at right angles in the other road. Is that correct? My concern is looking at the layout plan for parking. I've got no issues with the 2 cars in the rear garden because the entrance is into that side road, well back. But the 2 parking spaces shown on the plans in the front garden, effectively, are, I would consider to be very, very near the corner of Tuttle Hill. So from my point of view, in terms of the traffic, etc., and access and pedestrians, I would consider it not to be suitable.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Walsh. Sorry, did you have anything you wanted to say at all? Yeah.
Yeah, just to clarify, the 2 car parking spaces at the front of the property that face towards Tuttle Hill are existing, so they're not proposed in the scheme.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Walsh? So they're existing spaces. Okay, so you can't take those into consideration when you make your decision. Councillor Condacor, I saw your hand up.
Thank you very much, Chair. On the addendum, I'm really pleased that it's got condition 7 about surface drainage levels and things like that, because when I read the paperwork today, there wasn't any conditions about these things, and I think particularly considering how much of the site is being tarmacked over or concreted, I think it is really important we get the drainage, and hope. I was a bit unclear, maybe the officers can clarify. It talks about no development shall start until the approved plans have been. Are these plans still to be submitted? Because it reads at the top of the paragraph as if there's been some plans submitted, and yet further down it said submitted and approved by writing to the council. Because one thing I would be quite keen on, if this committee was minded to approve, is a condition that there's adequate either permeable surface or volume in the drainage, so it doesn't actually increase the flood risk. Effectively, it holds all the water. And secondly, the other point I had was particularly from the resident talking about the cars backing up to a garden fence and it being quite a small garden fence. I wasn't sure if we could condition either there being a planting of a bit of a hedge behind those 2 extra car parking spaces, or a higher fence, or something that would give a bit more of a buffer, because I understand that she's effectively lost the fence that protects her from the outside world on holly stitches, so now effectively people can go right up to her boundary fence. So I didn't know whether we can condition the applicant to provide either a pyracantha hedge or improve fencing on that aspect. I understand the need for extra housing, and I don't think we can turn this down easily, but I do think we can mitigate making sure it's got permeable drainage, and also we can try and ensure there's a bit of buffer between the existing residents and holly stitches. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Condacor. Do you wish to reply to anything that Councillor Condacor said?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor. I think with respect to adding a condition regarding screening, as long as my colleague Jasmine is content that that could actually fit within the site, then I think that would be reasonable. Obviously, as usual, the committee would have to delegate the wording to officers because we just need to think about the type of hedge or planting that went in. I don't have an issue with that condition, but as with all conditions, the applicant has a right to appeal, and they have a right to, they can apply for Section 73 to get a condition removed, so just so members are aware of that.
Okay, thank you, Ash. Any other, sorry, Councillor Condacor.
Yeah, thank you. Can I recommend or propose that we delegate to the officers to provide a screening condition? If I've got a second for that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Councillor Smith, are you happy to second that? Okay, yeah. Okay, can I have a show of hands, all those in favour of that as a condition? Yeah, so, okay, if we can record that as unanimous. Okay, so Councillor Smith, you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've visited this site a couple of times. The initial application that went in was a big overdevelopment of this site. I think the site's already overdeveloped, to be honest with you, but we can't do anything about that. I'm pleased to see that officers have worked with the applicant and they've wound that back to sit within the footprint of the current property. So no problems with that. Very happy with the suggestion from Councillor Condacor. I wanted to pick up on, there's been a couple of mentions of soundproofing, one from Mrs Wilson and Councillor Cooper, and also the applicant mentioned it. I've been in Mrs Wilson's property, and I think there will be an issue with sound travelling, especially when you've got flats upstairs backing onto her bedroom. Now, I know the applicant has talked about soundproofing. I'm wondering if we know anything about where that soundproofing might be. And are they adding extra soundproofing to that party wall? And if not, is that something we can condition?
There's no details as part of the application to state where any soundproofing will be. So at this time, we haven't got a condition or any final details on that.
Thank you, Chair. Can I come back on that? Can I ask, is that something we can condition? They've talked about putting soundproofing in. Can we make sure that soundproofing goes on the shared wall to cut down the nuisance for Mrs Wilson?
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I think with regards to soundproofing, I would suggest that is probably unreasonable because through building regulations there are requirements. Obviously, it is within the committee's gift to add that as a condition. If committee were minded to do that, again, I'd suggest delegating the word in something along the lines of soundproofing to environmental health satisfaction, something along those lines. My suggestion would be to add an informative rather than a condition in this instance, but obviously it's up to the committee.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I mean, he's talked about using soundproofing materials. I'm happy either way, actually. I'm just trying to decide should we go for it and put a condition in.
I mean, I'm happy to take this decision, Councillor Smith, because I equally was listening to that, and Mrs. Smith, Ash and I were having a conflab, and although it's something that he could challenge, I'm happy to recommend this as a condition, because I think in terms of giving the applicant, our objector sort of more protection in terms of, I think this is something that really is in her best interest, and also in terms of neighbours getting along, I think it needs to really be actioned, and whether we can delegate the wording to yourselves to either look at where that soundproofing is or to look at the materials used. I don't know if that's something you could condition, so the materials are perhaps robust enough that they will block out the sound. So I don't know if that's an alternative line that you might want to take if you feel that soundproofing isn't the right term to use.
Thank you, Chair. So yeah, I think if you delegate the word into us, and I'd recommend it would be something along the lines of soundproofing, to submit soundproofing materials to the satisfaction of environmental health. Obviously, they're the technical experts, because obviously we need to make the condition tight and enforceable, so it needs to be specific.
Okay, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Can I make that proposal then?
I will second that proposal. Can I just have a show of hands all in favour of that as a potential condition? Okay, so that's unanimous. Okay, are there any other members who wish to speak on this matter? Okay, so we'll go to the vote in that case. So all those in favour of moving the recommendation to grant planning permission, can I have a show of hands, please? Okay, so subject to conditions discussed. Okay, that's unanimous, thank you. You are now free to leave if you wish to do so, thank you. Okay, and I think we've got change over in officers now. Okay, so just bear with us for one moment, thank you. Okay, so Darren will now take us to our second item regarding 10 Elmfield Road, Nuneaton. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This application is for the retention of a detached outbuilding to the rear of number 10 Elmfield Road. The outbuilding is used as a summer house and is purely ancillary to the main dwelling. The council received an enforcement complaint, and following discussions with the applicant, they chose to apply for permission to retain the outbuilding. 10 Elmfield Road is a two-storey semi-detached property which is located in the middle of a row of properties at the end of Elmfield Road. Elmfield Road is smaller, narrower and accessed off Glenfield Road, and its levels are a little above that of Glenfield Avenue. The main house is constructed of a mixture of red brick and white render with white UPVC windows and doors. The outbuilding in question is a wood-panelled structure with a tiled roof. The two key issues to assess in the determination of this application are the impact on residential amenity and the impact on visual amenity. The proposal is sited to the rear part of the garden of 10 Elmfield, close to the boundary with properties on the coppice to the rear. The two side neighbours at 9 and 11 Elmfield are not significantly impacted on due to the distances involved and the siting of the outbuilding, although properties on the coppice are more affected. Distance standards are met between the outbuilding and numbers 3, 5 and 6 the coppice. The distance between number 4 the coppice is ground floor, rear lounge window to the elevation of the outbuilding is less than the 12 metres prescribed in the supplementary planning document, measuring 11.5 metres in total. However, it is considered that there are views past the proposal, and because of that, and the heights of the outbuilding being only 30 centimetres higher than the fence at eve level, that no significant impact exists. Overall, it is considered that there is no unacceptable harm on residential amenity caused by the retention of this outbuilding. The proposal will not be readily visible within any part of the street scene of Elmfield Road or from the coppice. Very fleeting glimpses of the roof may be possible between houses, but the outbuilding is single-storey and wooden, and it is considered that the massing and materials are common sites within residential gardens. The two key issues again are impact on residential amenity and on visual amenity. Overall, it is considered that there will be no unacceptable harm caused by the development. The recommendation is therefore one of approval, subject to the conditions set out on the agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Darren. So I have two speakers on this item. They're both applicants, so I don't know, do you have preferred order in which you'd like to speak? Okay, so I'll let you take that away then. Thank you. Mr. Goldstein.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for allowing me to respond to the objections. When we initially considered erecting a summer house in our garden, we explored several commercial designs so that we could eventually choose one that was visually and aesthetically pleasing to both ourselves and those neighbours which it may impact directly. We sited the summer house such that it would allow us views of our garden towards our house without the windows overlooking any of our immediate neighbours. This necessitated the corner summer house design to be located in the only suitable available corner of the garden. We then took time to consult with the two most impacted neighbours, numbers 3 and 4 the Coppice, by showing them pictures and plans of the proposed development. We attempted to answer their queries at that time and were available for the next 4 weeks prior to construction had they had any concern to voice. During construction by ourselves, we engaged in conversation with 3, 4 and 5 the Coppice and endeavoured to allay any concerns that they may have had. The summer house is intended for relaxation with occasional use of a rowing machine by the 2 adult occupants of number 10 Enfield Road. The eaves height of the summer house is in line with the height of the boundary fences of 3 and 4 the Coppice, and the design of the roof, being pyramidal, is such that the highest point is achieved more than 2 metres from the 2 boundaries. We feel that neither light nor amenity has been compromised for the neighbouring properties. Every endeavour has been made by us to ensure that the summer house is aesthetically pleasing and not an eyesore. The choice of roof shingles in black and the retention of the natural pine colour of the exterior are examples. The final landscaping around the summer house, which is now complete, is, we feel, carefully sympathetic to the design. In conclusion, we wish to grant this application to the committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So has anyone got any questions they would like to ask of Mr. Goldstein for points of clarification? No? Okay, in that case, we have a recommendation to grant planning permission for this. Do I have someone who's happy to propose? So thank you, Councillor Evans and Councillor Smith to second. Okay, so have we got any speakers who, any members who wish to speak on this matter? No? In that case, can we go straight to the vote? So all those in favour of allowing? Okay, so that's unanimous. Okay, so thank you very much. That's carried unanimously, so that permission will be granted. I have no further items on the agenda tonight, so I shall call this meeting to an end. So I'll thank all our members, our officers, and members of the public who have shown up tonight. Thank you very much. I now call this meeting to an end.